Some egos don't look fragile. They look confident, dominant, unshakable. But the most dangerous ego in the room is the one that breaks the easiest. Because strength absorbs pressure, fragility reacts to it. And when a fragile ego feels threatened, it doesn't retreat, it retaliates. There's a psychological concept called narcissistic injury. It happens when someone's self-image, the version of themselves they desperately protect, gets challenged. It doesn't have to be a public humiliation. Sometimes it's subtle. A disagreement, a correction, a joke that lands too close to the truth. For a stable person, it's uncomfortable. For a fragile ego, it's war. And here's what makes it dangerous. Fragile egos don't see disagreement as difference. They see it as disrespect. They don't see feedback as information. They see it as attack. Because their identity isn't built on internal stability. It's built on constant validation, and validation is unstable currency. So they compensate. They raise their voice. They assert dominance. They control conversations. They exaggerate achievements. They belittle others. Not because they're powerful, but because they're protecting something brittle. Real confidence doesn't need witnesses. Fragile confidence needs an audience. And when that audience shifts its attention, even slightly, panic begins. You've seen it before. The person who overreacts to minor criticism. The leader who punishes disagreement. The partner who turns a simple question into a confrontation. The friend who can't laugh at themselves. It feels disproportionate, because it is. Underneath the surface, the fragile ego operates on a silent fear. If I'm not superior, I'm nothing. That's why they escalate. Psychologically, escalation feels like regaining control. Anger feels like strength. Dominance feels like safety. But it's all defensive architecture, built to protect a self-image that can't survive scrutiny. Here's where it becomes truly dangerous. Fragile egos don't just defend themselves. They seek revenge against the source of discomfort. Research shows that individuals with unstable high self-esteem are more aggressive than those with genuinely low self-esteem. Why? Because their self-image swings wildly. They don't know who they are without admiration. So when admiration fades, they create fear. Fear is easier to control than respect. Fear doesn't require competence. It requires intimidation, and intimidation works at first. But fragile egos are predictable. They overcompensate, they overpromise, they overreact, and eventually, the cracks show. The irony? The more fragile the ego, the more obsessed it becomes with appearing strong. It talks about dominance. It talks about alpha status. It talks about winning. But truly secure people rarely use those words, because real strength is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. A stable ego can admit mistakes. A fragile one rewrites reality. A stable ego can tolerate disagreement. A fragile one punishes it. A stable ego can lose without collapsing. A fragile one turns loss into vengeance. That's why fragile egos are volatile. They're unpredictable under pressure. And pressure is everywhere. Social media, relationships, work hierarchies, status competition. Modern life constantly tests identity, and the people who haven't built theirs internally build it externally. On likes, on titles, on dominance displays, on other people's submission. But external validation is fragile. It can disappear overnight, and when it does, the ego scrambles. This is why some of the loudest people in the room are the most insecure. Why some leaders rule through fear. Why some partners monitor and control. Why some men equate aggression with masculinity. It's not power, it's protection. Protection of an identity that feels one criticism away from collapse. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't reason with a fragile ego during activation because it's not operating logically, it's operating defensively. Every word becomes threat, every silence becomes judgment, every boundary becomes disrespect. The moment you understand this, you stop taking their reactions personally. You start seeing the pattern. And patterns are predictable. Fragile egos escalate quickly, but they burn out just as fast. Because maintaining false dominance is exhausting. It requires constant performance, constant assertion, constant defense. Real power doesn't require that much effort. Real confidence doesn't fear exposure because it has nothing to protect. The most dangerous ego isn't the loud one, it's the unstable one. The one that smiles until challenged, the one that praises until threatened, the one that appears controlled until its image cracks. And when it cracks, it doesn't bend, it breaks outward. So next time someone overreacts to something small, don't just ask what you said. Ask what identity you threatened. Because fragile egos don't fear being wrong. They fear being ordinary. And to them, that feels like extinction. This is Lucid Code. Subscribe for more.